Now you'll notice that this is not a fixing Kknowley builds, but more fixing this one Kknowley build. And that's because for the most part, they aren't that horrible. But if I were to do a quick little lightning round sort of, this is what I would mention.
Medic, then Quick Fix, Combat Doctor and Inspire all aced, making this a standard Doctor's Bag build. A spare point goes into Stable Shot.
Convert skills are good for any build, but especially on dodge. Having enemies not focusing you is crucial, especially when you die easily and from RNG. Hostage Taker is also a great way to get health back after being shot.
For Enforcer, we need Shotgun skills, so Underdog Basic, Shotgun CQB, Shotgun Impact and Close By all aced, and the very necessary Overkill Basic. We also pick up Resilience aced and Basic Bullseye,
respectively. In Technician, it's just Steady Grip Base.
And just like that, you already outdid Beecroft's build.
We grab Duck and Cover, Parkour, Inner Pockets and Sneaky Bastard all ace.
This is bad. Let's start from the bottom and go up. Parkour, in general, isn't a very good skill. The small movement speed boost doesn't help at all on Suit. The aced version, however, is awful. It will kill you more often than it will save you. Not being able to sprint to reload cancel means you have to commit to every single reload, no matter how many enemies are in front of you or what is happening in general. If one enemy shows up from around the corner while you're reloading, you will most likely end up dying. Now, Inner Pockets is okay, but Inner Pockets aced is a waste of points, seeing as you aren't wearing anything other than Suit. Sneaky Bastard, however, is the real killer. It costs way too many points for the amount you get back. It's a terrible skill.
Ideally, I'd get down to 25 or below to max out on crit and dodge. And with DLCs, we could easily get there simply by running an explosive round judge. But to keep explosive utility without the gauge shotgun pack, unfortunately this isn't possible.
Explosive utility isn't all that it really seems to be. People mostly just use it for shields and dozer faceplates, and occasionally for snipers. Now, alternatively, something you could try here is to use a 5.7 AP pistol. This will deal with shields and snipers fairly well, but dozer faceplates will still be slightly annoying. The 5.7 will also allow you to have more concealment, meaning you can spend less points concealing your setup, and take all of those points along with the points you put into Sneaky Bastard and get converts with Hostage Taker, which will improve the build overall.
Oh well, I guess free-to-plays have to lose out on something, and I suppose 1% dodge and 3% crit chance isn't the worst price to pay. Finally, in Fugitive, we pick up Equilibrium so we can ace out Akimbo to increase the Goliath's ammo capacity, rounding it off with the always necessary 9 lives aced.
There's really only one thing that stands out to me in the Stoic version, and here it is.
Up Steady Grip, Fire Control and Surefire all aced, for accuracy, stability and penetration, with Lock and Load Basic for extra mobile functionality and Body Expertise.
Lock and Load aced is an incredibly powerful reloading skill that people always tend to miss. Especially on LMGs, it can be extremely powerful. Here's another reload comparison. So as you can see, it's a pretty big difference, and especially when it comes to reloading your weapon multiple times over the course of a heist, it does add up. If you're wondering where you can get the 6 points to ace Lock and Load, conveniently, Fire Control aced right below it costs exactly 6 points, so you can just drop those. And now for the main event. This build has oh so many problems, but let's start with the most outstanding one.
For armor, I'm going with the improved Combined Tactical Vest, giving...
Please, dear God, no. Anarchist is best used with Suit only. The reason for this is due to its first perk, Blitzkrieg Bop. This perk constantly regenerates armor for you depending on the tier of armor you are wearing. It starts with Suit at 2 seconds, Light Ballistic Vest at 3, and goes all the way up to 10 seconds for the ICTV. The armor values you get are different, but it doesn't matter since Anarchist is an armor gating perk deck, not an armor tanking perk deck. If you don't know what armor gating is, it's a mechanic in Payday which allows your health to never be touched while your armor is up. There are exceptions like snipers and explosives, but in general, as long as you have your armor up, your health can never take damage. With that said, suit recovering at 2 seconds instead of ICTV at 10 will save you way more through the armor gating than the ICTV will save you with the tanking. Here are just a few clips showing off suit saving you due to its timer. I don't play much Anarchist, so only the first clip is mine, but my friend KevKild does play a lot of Anarchist and sent me most of these clips. Make sure to check out both his Twitch and YouTube in the links in the description. Now, this next clip is taken from Crime Spree, in which Anarchist armor-gating is one of the few only good ways to survive, but I understand my HUD can be a bit distracting, so I'll try and point things out as they happen. I understand that may have been a little bit painful to watch due to the frame rate, which comes from both the original recording and me slowing it down in the editor, but I do suggest that you slow it down in the YouTube player as well and take a look, because it really does show off something that Suit can do that ICTV literally never can. Now, onto some cleaner looking clips.
Garrett, you might want to clip that. I'm losing ammo because fucking shoots well before me. Did Sue just say me there? Really did. I think Suit might have just saved me there.
That was only a few examples, but I'm sure that you get the picture from it. Now I'll just move on to the rest of the build as it comes by.
Situations, as well as the Switchblade, my favourite rapid melee, with a rapid animation speed and short cooldown between stabs, making it perfect to activate some of the skills I'll get onto later in the video.
Now, if the Switchblade is your favorite weapon, that's fine, but it just doesn't belong in a video with the title Best in its name. It doesn't do nearly enough damage when compared to the Katana or Ice Pick, or other fast, re-swinging, high-damage melee weapons. Those would much better suit this build.
I do want to point out before I go any further that you need to be at least Infamy level 5 to copy this build exactly.
It bothers me when someone says this because it just means that they don't know how Infamy reductions work. In this build, you don't need Infamy 5, and in fact, no build needs Infamy 5. It's not possible since you don't have enough skill points to utilize all 5 reductions. This is the build that he linked in his description. As you can see, there are no tier 4 skills in Mastermind, which means you don't actually need the Infamy reduction here. In Enforcer, he does get Iron Man, which he does use the Infamy reduction for. In Technician, he uses this to get to the tier 4, but he doesn't need the reduction because of this skill here. It makes up for the difference of Infamy. He doesn't use a reduction in Ghost either. He does use a reduction in Fugitive. Since you only use reductions in 2 places, The infamy you need for this build is 3, not 5. Also, please don't use Europlay. It's just a worse version of Payday 2 Builder. I know that it comes up before this one, but this one is just the updated version. There's no good reason to use this over this. This one just works better overall.
So here we go. We grab Combat Medic, Quick Fix and Combat Doctor, all skills designed to prolong our life in the really unforgiving one-down mode, allowing us to reset downs when we interact, with both the 4 use Doctor's bags, effectively giving us 8 times as many lives. I also pick up a quick extra point in Stable Shot, helping out our M60's base stats even further.
Again, convert skills are very important, especially with Anarchist. Anarchist does not want anything to target it because its armor drops quickly. Having more meat shields around you helps you stay alive longer.
In Enforcer, I put a spare point in Underdog and then spec heavy into the tank tree, getting to that improved combined tactical vest by acing out Resistance, basicing Die Hard and Transporter, acing Bullseye, and then finally acing Iron Man. These are our key survival skills, with Bullseye helping us to fill up that massive armor pool of the ICTV.
Skipping out on Shock and Awe Aced on an LMG build is a horrible mistake. Shock and Awe Aced allows you to fight shields without having to go around them or switch weapons. This means that this build will be less vulnerable against them.
Technician is where the magic really happens, the damage skills that make this build so fun to play. We start by putting a spare point into Hardware Expert, then ace out Steady Grip, Fire Control, Surefire, stick a single point into Lock and Load, and then finish off with Body Expertise aced. In general, these skills are going to combine to really accentuate your M60's killing power and consistency, letting you run and gun quite effectively, even cradling this beast of a weapon. The key combo though is in the armor penetration of Surefire and the damage boost of Body Expertise, basically giving you 90% of a headshot modifier's damage to every shot of LMG you shoot. It's quite frankly a little bit overpowered.
The way the skill is written out is actually a little bit misleading. Although it does say that you get 90% headshot bonus damage, it doesn't factor in the bonus that you get from your perk deck. This means that you're actually doing about 70% of the damage instead of 90%.
This is what makes this the best unit killing build in the game. I don't see how any other setup could compete, to be honest.
Now this is quite a claim. I figured I would test it. I grabbed together a couple builds that I know tend to kill fairly well and put them all on No Mercy. I gave each 3 minutes to see how they perform. Obviously this isn't exact science, as Payday is a pretty random game. Different units spawn, sometimes dozers, sometimes normal cops, but this is a fairly good showing of how each one does.
Cover your ears. 1. Well, there goes the alarm. Guess we gotta do this the hard way. boys. Get this already.
Took care of that medic.
So as you can see, it isn't one of the highest killing builds in the game. It's not even a very high kill build because of its killing, but because it just can't survive long enough to do the killing. This ties into the video that you uploaded, in which your gameplay shows you being gray. I don't think that's a very good way to show off a build, but that's just my opinion.
Martial arts basic, bloodthirst aced, berserker aced, and last but certainly not least, frenzy. Berserker just works too well with anarchist, which is already foregoing health to below most sources of damage.
This is a very big point investment, and it doesn't really return much to you. I already left a comment on Kknowley's build video explaining this, but it's mostly just numbers and math. So if you are interested in reading that, you can go ahead, but I'm not going to go over it again.
Their sentence, the heavy SWAT, does 225 damage at all ranges. So if we reduce this by 25%, we will be taking roughly 169 damage. Bearing in mind we have 400.4 armor in total, this means instead of these SWATs two-shotting our armor, we get an additional one-shot grace window, more valuable than you can imagine on death sentence.
Now, while this may sound good on paper, you're treating Anarchist like a tank deck. For example, this math would work for armor. Armor takes 2 shots, then it gets its armor back and takes 2 more shots. Anarchist works differently. After taking your initial 3 shots here, for example, you only take 1 shot after due to your armor gating. You don't get back up to that 3 shot ever again unless you go down and get helped up or play extremely passively, which Anarchist and this build doesn't let you do.
And that does it for the build. In case the gameplay transitions have thrown you off, eventually your build should look something like this. If you're still struggling to follow, I'll link it in the description via the Payday 2 Skills website and you can copy it down from there. Just quickly, I'm going to mention some alternative setups, particularly prevalent.
I will get to these alternative setups, but I did also want to mention something about your Arbiter.
I personally have settled on the Arbiter for a few reasons. First of all, I recommend running any launcher you choose with incendiary grenades. This is because the damage over time effect synergizes brilliantly with our perk deck of choice. So with incendiary damage output in mind, the Arbiter is absolutely my favourite. It has the most ammo, fastest fire rate, and can just generally apply the fire effect to more enemies over a shorter duration. This will increase your CC potential, as well as augmenting our Anarchist armor heals. It also tends to be better over range, which couples nicely with the more close quarters focus of our LMG.
Well, if it's damage over time and crowd control that you're looking for, then I would like to introduce you to the Grim 12-gauge shotgun. This can be modded to 0 accuracy, and along with Dragon's Breath rounds, becomes one of, if not the most brainless weapons in the game. Hold left click in the direction of enemies and they'll all be stopped by fire. Seriously, this will way outperform your Arbiter. There are of course some enemies that can't be stunned, like medics and dozers, but they aren't the most common anyway, and it's not like the Arbiter can stun them either.
In trust, or you want to be more geared up for soloing.
Also, note that if you inspire people like this, please run painkillers. If people are dead somewhere in the middle of the open and you inspire them without killing anything around them, it could be dangerous and they could die again immediately. So please run painkillers on those, but if you do want to run quick fix, then just throw a flash or clear the area first.
I'd say drop the ICTV and go with the lightweight ballistic vest.
Please, just use the suit!
Finally, you can go down a similar route to grab Joker skills if solo is your main mode of play. Here I rearranged the tank tree just as you saw before, dropping also silent killer skills we had in order to pick up Forced Friendship, Joker, Confidant Aced, and finally Partners in Crime.
If you aren't acing Partners in Crime, you might as well just not take any converts at all. Partners in Crime is what makes converts good on death sentence. The aced version of the skill gives them insanely high resistance, allowing them to tank any shot anytime. But with the basic version, they'll just die really quickly.
With this setup, you also get to grab a nice point in Swan Song and Drill Sergeant.
That's really about all I have to say. If you're wondering why the thumbnail says most mediocre build of 2020, it's because the build will still work. You still have an LMG, you still have Anarchist with its 2-second God mode, and you still have both Bullseye and Lust for Life. It's just the Blitzkrieg bop that you're losing out on, and a lot of damage as well. You don't have great crowd control potential either. It's just mediocre. Well, with that being said, I would like to thank everyone for watching.